Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to askNK. Botaniq 6.4 has just been released and this is considered a scatter update. So we already know that the folks at Polygonic, creators of Botaniq, are good at what they do, as we've also taken a look at the render set, the traffic, material leak, and of course the amazing Botaniq. Now if you would like to get Botaniq, you can get this for 30% off right now with the coupon code SPRINKLE30BM, and this is running from now, which is the date of release, all the way to the 26th of October 2021. Now with that said, for those who would like to come through and read up some of the things, maybe you want to see some of the updates that's been done to this one, some of the cool features, some brand new assets, and pretty cool stuff that is now here, you can simply go over to the link in the description and come through to check these things out. Now with that said, we're going to dive directly into Blender and take a look at how this actually works. So with Blender simply open right here, all we need to do is go over to Edit, go over to Preference and install Addon. And once you do that, if you press N on your keyboard, you would notice you have Polygonic right here. So because we've installed the Botaniq, you can see that we have that here. And if you click on the big spawn button, you would see that we have the categories and you can select on any of these and see some beautiful trees. Now it's worth mentioning that this update comes with 55 new assets that you can see, and this comprises of rose, pine cones, hibiscus, mushrooms, and so much more. And if you like to find these things, you can simply go over to the miscellaneous section and you can see some of them. So you can see some of these cool ones like the dead leaves, you can see the lily pad, the mushrooms, and you can also see some pine cones right here, some twigs that you might want to scatter across your scene, and some very beautiful needles. Now, depending on what you like to create, these things will come in handy. Now, before we talk about the new scatter updates that comes with this, let's take a look at something else that the folks at Polygonic have implemented. So one of the nice things about Polygonic is for any of the objects that you can now work with that deals with trees, you can now animate them. So if we have the maple tree selected and click on OK, you can see that this gigantic tree now lives within our scene. Going over to the animation section, click on Add Animation, and by default, you have a default animation tool that you can click on OK and have an animation. But right now, you would notice that we have Loop. Now, Loop is something that most of the people in the community have asked for. So if we set these to 120 and press the playback button, you would notice that we have a loopable animation for our model happening right here. So if you like to export these as an Alembic file, or maybe you like to export this as a USD file, right now this is something that you can actually do. So with this here, you can also proceed to control several things with this tool. So if you go all the way down here to the animation advanced, you would notice that we have some modifiers, amplitude, and enable. So for those who like to throw in some bend, you can now throw in some bend for your model, so your model can actually bend when the animation is playing back. And to take a look at this, let's go all the way back and press the playback button. So if I press the playback button, you'll notice that we have a bend animation being enabled and set to 4.4. If I set this to 0.5, you can see that we have a minimal bend happening, and this applies to every other modifier that exists right here. Now with that said, for those who like to play with the wind setting, you can set this to breeze, wind, storm, and to any of them that you have selected, you can click on set. And of course, you can also set the strength. You can press the playback button so you can start noticing that sort of storm-like effect on your model. Now, these are some very nice animation updates. And with that said, let's proceed to talk about something else that makes a lot of sense that you guys would definitely enjoy working with. Now, most of you guys may want to play with the coloration of the leaf. And with that, the folks at Polygonic have included a brightness value tool. So at any point in time you like to darken or actually brighten the color of the leaf or of the plants that you're working with, you can go over to the brightness section and you can play with the value. So I can set this to 0.43 or actually 0.5, which is a good value, and click on change brightness. And you can notice that that implements automatically. So if I set this all the way down to a point like this and hit on change brightness, you'd also notice that it looks like that. Now, depending on the kind of scene that you're working with, you might want to play with the coloration, and it is worth knowing that you can also hit the word randomize and get some random value depending on the minimum and maximum value that you've set. So this is definitely going to come in very handy. And for those who like to also make variations of several trees, you can also randomize across different trees at the same time. Now, with that said, let's take a look at some of the scatter updates that is now available with this new release. So if we proceed to select a surface which we would like to scatter, we can go over to the scatter section, and then if we click on the plus sign, we've already seen the grasses before. So if you click on this gigantic thumbnail, you'll notice that we have a couple of grasses that we can scatter across, And these are very nice, high quality grasses, by the way, that you can use to do some amazing things. But for sure, most of you guys asked for more, and the folks at Polygoniq have also gone through to include more categories. So there is now a forest debris that deals with the coniferious, the deciduous, and also some mixed debris and foliages that you can work with. There's the mushrooms A, mushrooms B, and also mushrooms C. And for those who are excited about creating lily pads, right now, you can now proceed to make that beautiful lake that you've always wanted to do. So if we go in and select something like the mixed bloom and click on OK, this would automatically create a lily pad that you can work with. So you can see how beautiful this looks. And for those that are trying to create lakes and maybe you like to have lily pads, you can proceed to work with this. Now, it even makes more sense that the folks at Polygoniq have not just added the feature where you can recalculate your density, paint your density, and paint the length. You can also play with the seed. So depending on the kind of values that you like to have, you can play with the seed values, you can play with the scale, you can reduce the scale if you want, you can even add more things just to bring more life to the scene that you're working with. So with this said, let's dive all the way back and even explore some more things. Now, set the material back to what it was before, which is the default material, and then we will look at some more stuff that you can now do with this. If we click on the plus sign one more time and go all the way to where we have the miscellaneous, you'd also notice that we have some rocky scatters, some falling, some desert scatters, and we can also proceed to go all the way to weed, where we have even way more cooler weeds that we can throw in. So we can throw in a tall grass weed and click on OK, just to have that there. And now if we click on the plus sign and go all the way to where we have the miscellaneous, we can also import the rocky tools and throw them right here. Now, once we load all of these things in, we can control how these things play within our scene. And for the most part, for those who would like to also see what these tools look like before they hit the render button, you can also see them within the thumbnail. So let's say, for example, you're working with the tall grasses and you like to see some of the grasses that mix these things up. You can select them and you can actually proceed to reduce them depending on what you want. So for this example, let's say we would like to make this one 3 and we can have that set to 3. And of course, if we would like to also set this maybe to 2, we can just set that to 2. And we can do all of that stuff. And in terms of working with the rocks, we can also choose to reduce the rocks if we like to, and we can increase the amount of rocks that we preview within our scene. So once you hit the render button, you can see how cool these ones are. And most of you guys would want to create your own scatter collection. So how you can make this one is super easy. So if you go over to the spawn section and we go all the way to where we have the miscellaneous, we can throw in some things. So we can go ahead and get some mushrooms, click on OK to load that in. Let's go back and get another mushroom and let's load that in as well. And probably we'll also proceed to get some more stuff. So let's go all the way down and let's get some pine cone and throw those ones right there. So with all these things selected, let's make sure that we have them, and we're just going to move them all the way to this point. We can still choose to use this and scatter them across this plane. So how we can do this is as simple as selecting the plane itself, clicking on the plus sign, go to the section called new, and I'm just going to call this one scatter. Click on OK to keep that, scroll all the way down, make sure you have all of the things you would like to scatter selected, hold down shift, select the platform you would like to scatter on, and then click on this tiny button that appends all of this and scatters them onto the surface. So once you do that, you can now notice that we have all these things scattered. But one thing is for sure, that once you scatter these, you notice the orientation are not proper. So to fix the orientation, all you need to do is select the object itself and then go all the way to where you have your object properties, and within the rotation axis Y, set this to 90 degrees. And you can do this for the other ones as well. And of course, after doing this, you can even add more things to it by simply going over to the Botaniq section, go over to the categories, and you can select the forest debris and add some more cool stuff to your scene. Now, depending on the kind of scene you would like to create, the Botaniq Addon 6.4 from the folks at Polygoniq have you covered in terms of scatter, vegetation. So you can proceed to go over to the link in the description that will bring you over to the Botaniq page where you can check out some of the cool things that you might want to play with, and you can actually start making some amazing and beautiful things with it. And for those who will be wondering, the folks at Polygoniq have actually gone ahead to rework the entire albedo of individual objects that they have here, so you get that high quality true to life feel once you're working with any of the models that comes with Botaniq. So this is more like it. Tell me what you guys think about this one in the comment section. Link to this is going to be in the description, so do well to check it out. And of course, if you'd like to get this, you can take advantage of the 30% off that is currently available with this new release and get the most out of it. And of course, if you like this video or you learned something from this, you can go ahead and give a like and don't forget to share with a friend. And if you're new here, it's going to be amazing for you to hit the subscribe button and also turn on the notification so that you don't miss the next video or the next update. And I'll see you guys again with a tutorial update, Free Friday, Tutorial Tuesday, tips and tricks, things like this. Peace.